But in terms of their light covers, I really like them. Now, they were made primarily for night vision use, because if you're doing night vision stuff, having a white light ND can be catastrophic. Like if you're actually doing like an actual operation, which I know you guys don't really use it, and it doesn't really apply mostly to law enforcement because everyone knows you're there. But in a military context, if you're on approach to a building and you meant to hit
Somebody
your
NDs,
illuminator and you just sent 1,000 lumens into some dude's window, that can blow the entire thing.
Have you ever considered just unscrewing the tail cap a half
Some
screw?
people do that.
Yeah, that's what we
and
do.
a lot of them, like for example, particular people in naval special operations, it's highly frowned upon to run pressure pads for your white light. They will run the white light on their, it would be their support side, and they always run the tail cap. So that way you have to manually go in and hit the tail cap. So that way there's no mistaking one pressure pad for the illuminator laser and one for the white light. So
And I can't stand running my light on my support side.
yeah, I mean,
Here,
it takes
second
chunks, many chunks out of frames.
Yeah, and the second I put it down, I'm picking the damn rifle back up. So if I'm right-handed and I'm bracing, I want this left side, the support side of the gun, to be clean, so I can brace on stuff, and get that added precision, get the accuracy bonus. Also, if I'm using cover around the right side of the cover, which I do when I have my preference most of the time, I want the light on the outside of that cover, thus the right side. It also doesn't obstruct my vision over there. Not that that's that big a deal. But yeah, it's I've seen that most people run their lights now on the support side.
It's one of those things that kind of goes to people. You'll get some big name in the industry who, they have their experiences and they have their opinions on things. Not taking anything away from it, but like, yeah, we do it this way for X, Y, and Z reason, and everyone goes, oh, we gotta do it that way now. But personally, again, I don't like running it on the support side because framing, you're gonna hit frames. Bracing, so another great one. If you're doing white light stuff, working around cover, if I'm shooting on my strong side, I want most of that light projecting past that cover rather than reflecting. More of it's going to reflect if it's on my support side. And some people will ask, well, what about if you're shooting from your offside? I typically roll the gun, so the light's more or less at a 90 degree. So it's it doesn't really apply there. But there are good reasons for a light cover, even if for non-night vision use. I guess we can talk about this here after this. But depending on where you put your light, if you're a guy who puts the light more forward and you're not running suppressed, and you got your brake or your flash hider, the lens will obviously get covered in carbon. That protects
while you're shooting. That makes sense.
And on top of that, it is protection for the light too, if something were to actually smack the lens. So there are legitimate reasons to have it, if not for night vision use. If it's not a night vision gun, I probably wouldn't put one on it because I just want the white light to be immediately available. But for a night vision setup gun, if it's nighttime, night vision, this becomes kind of secondary over NDs. But yeah, I mean, cheaper. It's a cool thing. It works. It certainly has its legitimate purposes for night vision use in particular. But
I like the company. I don't want to talk shit about a young startup company because I too have a young startup company. And why does it cost so much? It costs that much because they're trying to make money, and people will pay that much. So that's why it costs that much.
Yep. So let's talk about while we're talking on white light placement. How do you like to place your? I mean, you just said that we're in agreement. We're on the strong side of the rifle. Are you one of those guys who likes to run it as far forward as you can get it? Do you not care about shadow, so you're willing to put a little?
I don't care about shadow. Shadow's stupid. A dumb argument. I've never seen it. Even when I run the can on this, now we get to play with all the toys.
Yeah.
So you can see that's pretty far for you. Look at us. So that's pretty far forward. Theoretically, that's a hell of a shadow. I've never seen it.
Same with mine. Yeah.
Yeah, and as far as where this sits, it's just kind of where it's comfortable. Obviously, there's some weight considerations here, and the further forward that it is on your rail, the more that weight's going to affect you. Yeah. Having said that, I don't run it way back here, you know. So that's just kind of where I've always placed it. Just I want the bezel slightly forward of the rail, but that's just kind of how I've always done it, and it's kind of my preference. Yeah, when I'm not running a can and there's a flash hider there, does it get dirty? Yeah, but just Windex or spit or whatever, clean it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I always run strong side for the reasons we discussed. I like having this side of the rifle clean so I can brace. And there were times when I ran it low instead of high. In my career, that was more because I had to make room for other shit. And to be brutally honest, I couldn't tell you what I was making room for now, but it was something important at the time. I like running my lights as close as I can to that rail system.
Yeah, me too.
I hate the 90-degree ones. Most of these lights come with that 90-degree mount. And I like having a really... this is an Arasaka mount. I love Arasaka. It's a great company. And they can really get those scout mounts where they run it right next to the rail system, nice and tight to it, and just kind of lowers the total profile of the weapon. So, and I don't think that's radical opinion. This is pretty basic shit.
Yeah. I've never found shadow, unless it's absurd. I guess like you're running a light halfway back on the rail, which I've never seen anyone actually do that in person, at least. Shadow has never been a big thing. People say, "Oh, give away your position." I can assure you, no one's looking at the shadow. Like, I can assure you.
Really? Give away your position?
Yeah. Well, give away like your angle. Oh, I can see his shadow of his mom. Like, you think someone's doing that level of math when they're being hunted in a building? Like, no. Are you serious?
No.
I guess you could make the argument it lowers the effectiveness of the light because you got a little bit of shadow and there's obviously, you get a slightly less area. But to me, it's so minute and it's typically not where you're looking anyways.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Arguments, people try to play the percentages to justify that this little thing is going to make the difference and that's going to save my life. And I'm better and cooler than you because I thought of that. You didn't think of it.
Yeah.
A lot of that is just chest beating. It's like, well, how many gunfights have you been in? How many I mean, seriously. Like, where are we at here? People overthink shit. It's a lot of personal preference. I've always hated running it on the support side. Obviously, I got the tail cap here, and I can... that's cool. You don't have to worry about having the wiring and the pad if you run it on your support side and you're right-handed, so you can activate it with your thumb. Yeah, good point. But whenever I use cover, I like to be kind of close to the cover, as everybody does. Maybe a little bit back further, maybe a little bit back from it, but as far as how far I peek out, as minimalist as possible, and you're going to get a lot of splash back if it's on your support side. So I don't want that.
Yeah, that splashback is definitely important. Even just for your own visibility, especially if you're like in a building and it's white walls or something, you get a lot of reflection.
White walls with high gloss paint will really blow back a lot of light, and people don't. I think they don't realize that because maybe they don't clear a lot of houses. Like I clear a lot of houses in the real world, and I always mention houses in the 90s that haven't updated their interior design. And in the 90s, it was a big deal to put lots of mirrors in your living rooms and shit to try to make the space look bigger. And those mirrors, they'll get you. Master bedrooms usually have a mirror opposite the master bed. So you just gotta, if you know it's there, you can save yourself a lot of trouble not self-blinding. Self-blinding is a thing.
Yep.
Real world, it happens.
Absolutely. And even if you don't self-blind yourself, it's more backlighting. Right, you get that reflection. Now, it's less blinding to them, and they can start seeing your silhouette. You get a little bit more reflection on you, rather than a beam of sun through that doorway or whatever.